What's up, Deb?
What's up?
Sometimes I just say that. I'm like, I wonder how much I have to carry this conversation tonight. I don't know. So I sometimes I'll just throw that out there and see what Deb does. That gives me an idea of what to expect. So now I know.
Well, I'm back at work, so
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. So
school
buckle
is
up, everybody. We're getting teacher Deb.
oh,
Miss
I'm
McCollum's back in the classroom.
I just this is my I just took some more ibuprofen just now before we logged on. This is my second headache today. I haven't had a headache all
Not sure how
summer.
I feel about that. All right. Once you
Not
logged on with me,
huh?
once you logged on with me, you got a headache?
No, right before I did, I took some. I know, right? As soon as I logged on, I got a headache. No, I got one this morning, and I got one again, maybe like an hour ago, a half hour ago. And so anyway, it's summer, but it's also triple digits outside. It's way too hot.
Well, maybe it's
It,
because of the way your hair is pulled up very tightly above your head. Do you think that's causing the headache? I've
this
never seen you do your hair like that.
it's like an ice cream. Look, it's like a swirl. I literally
It's
didn't even mean to do it like this. I literally ran in my bathroom just now and just like put it up really quick.
that's 100. I was gonna say it looks like a cupcake, but you're 100% right. It looks like Deb has a blizzard on her head from Dairy Queen.
It is on top of my head.
It's
Yeah.
it's strong. You do have a lot of hair. You made that comment a little while ago, but I feel like when you see it up there like that, it's a decent. It looks like a beehive sitting on top of your head, like not like a small beehive, but a full beehive.
I've had it in a ponytail all day. I had a different ponytail going, but like my ponytail goes and like lands on my neck and my shoulders, and I just didn't want any of that on me right now. So I was just like, okay, it's going in a bun. But that could be why I have a headache. That or I'm just back in a room full of teenagers again. I don't know. It
That's
could be
true. Do
either.
you excuse me, do you normally get headaches at the beginning of the school year? Is it one of those things where, because like when you, it's almost like if you have a caffeine thing, right? You drink a lot of soda, you drink a lot of coffee, and if you once you don't have it for a while, or if you try to quit, right, or you try to take a break from it, you start kind of having some different physical things that start happening because your body's used to that thing that you were drinking or eating. Do you think that's similar with the teaching thing, where it's like your mind is just kind of free for the summer, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, you're right back into it?
Basically,
Yeah,
I think it's
there you
the
go.
freedom of my mind withdrawals. But I am noticing that I need more caffeine in the afternoon now. It doesn't help that I don't go to bed super early and I probably don't get enough sleep, but yeah, but yeah, I'm starting to like drink coffee in the afternoons, but then I'm like trying to like, okay, maybe that's why I'm getting more headaches. I don't know. I'm trying to only drink coffee in the morning. I'm really trying. Because
Nice.
it does, because well, and caffeine can mess with your sleep, and there's whatever. We don't have to get into that. I'm pro caffeine, believe me. There was a
Oh
moment. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm an
yeah,
energy drink guy,
yeah.
a
I,
connoisseur.
yeah. I tried to stop. There was a moment over the summer where I was like, I'm gonna try to go caffeine free. I'm trying to go. I'm not gonna drink any coffee. So I lasted 3 days with no coffee, like cold turkey, just
Sure.
and I didn't really get headaches, so that was good, surprisingly, but I was just so I was very foggy. I was very like loopy,
Sure.
and like this is and then what and then I remember I was on a break at massage school and I went on my lunch break and I was like, I can't, I need, and so I got a cup of coffee and then bing, I was like bouncing off the walls. I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Why did I stop drinking coffee? But yeah, but caffeine has a half-life, so like it stays in your system for longer, and so I'm trying to only drink it in the morning. That way I'm not going to bed with caffeine all running through my veins.
Probably good. Yeah, you probably, especially if you're massaging someone, you probably need to be more focused. Can you imagine you just kind of like doze off or zone out, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, I'm massaging a pillow. This is not even the
Yeah.
person's body.
Or the opposite effect if I have too much caffeine. So last weekend in school, I I just don't ask why I thought this was a good idea. I'm just going to warn you right now. Don't ask. Just let me tell the story. So I on my lunch, I eat my lunch early. Like I eat my like during mid morning like breakfast time, and then I just don't really have lunch, and then I just eat an early dinner. That's been my pattern so like lately. And so for my lunch break, I went to Temple in Davis, and I decided to get a French press. So I didn't realize I like it. They gave me a whole carafe. Did I talk about this already? The whole
No,
carafe,
not at all. Not at all.
like,
It's a
and I'm,
lot.
oh, that's for me. And so so I drank the whole thing because I was like, this is so good. And I got like heavy cream with it with honey. It was just so, it was so good. I was like reading a book. I was just enjoying myself. I know it was really good.
Did you
And
drink out of the carafe?
no,
The
like
hesitation makes me wonder if you did, but that's fine. I'll let it go.
the hesitation was, oh, that would have been a good idea. No, I poured it, it was in a cup. So I drank all of it.
Like a
And
lady. Okay.
I can't, yeah,
Not
I'm
like
in
a
public.
savage, just drinking coffee two-handed with a jug of what'd you say, French press?
Yeah, just take the lid off, just have the beans and everything.
Just chomp on the beans like ice.
It's gross. But anyway, so I go back to class, and like about a half an hour later, like my leg starts shaking. Like just like sitting there and we're watching and we're paying attention to instruction, and my leg is just like just moving, and I'm like, uh-oh. And then just the rest of class time, my legs are like twitching. Like I'm like, okay, cool. I can't do that anymore at all ever again.
Yeah,
Like
probably
literally,
not.
like I was just waiting for like little baby heart palpitations next. Like I was like, I can't now. So the next time I wanted a coffee, I just got 1 cup. So that was way better.
There you go. Wasn't as tasty, but better for the system. Yeah. I think I've shared this before. Maybe I shared it when we were doing the character combine podcast, but again, like I said, I do enjoy energy drinks. And when I was working for Character Combine, every once in a while, a local sports team would ask me to come out and do like a 5 to 10 minute, motivational type talk to their team. And so this one, I was heading out to Laguna Creek High School to talk to their girls basketball team at the time. And I remember I was driving there, and all of a sudden I just felt like really jittery and nervous. And I'm like, why? I was drinking a Red Bull. I'm like, this is not the first time I've done this. But I just felt nervous. I'm like, man, I've done these talks before. I'm not nervous about the talk. Like, what is going on? And then I realized I was kind of trying to think back throughout my day. I didn't really have anything to eat that day. I was just kind of on the go from the very beginning. And it's like, oh, hey, dummy, all you've had in your system is basically some water and a Red Bull. Yeah, of course you're jittery and you're going to go into this. I think you have like the shakes as you're talking to this team. They're like, who brought this guy in? This clown can't even stand still. So yeah, it is weird. I've had that one time, and again, I haven't done that since. It's not a great feeling when you have that.
No, it's low blood sugar, high caffeine. Those are not
It's not a good thing. So I learned my lesson.
not good things. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know where.
I had another question for you, but now I can't remember. I chose
No,
to tell the Red Bull story, which wasn't that interesting, but now I've lost my thought.
no,
Um,
I
so
don't know.
overall, did you have a good summer?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I was teaching for most of it, but summer school teaching, at least for me, is like chill. It's different. It's not as, there's less kids. It's not as crazy. We have like 2,800 kids at our school, maybe close to 3,000. I don't know. I haven't checked this year yet, but
Jeez,
for summer school, it's like 200 in total, right? Like within the whole school.
sure.
So very, it's chill. The kids are great, and yeah. So I was doing that most of my summer, but it was good. I went on some few like small, like just local trips. No airplane rides for me.
Oh, really? None at all, huh?
Well, well, except for, well, uh I flew into Las Vegas to go to Lake Havasu for a few days, but that's it. So no international plane rides.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
There you
But
go. Much tamer summer than the summer before.
yeah, it
Yeah,
went, which is why this is a tame summer.
makes sense. Kind of has to balance. It's basically like the travel version of the caffeine, right?
Yeah,
A lot of
still
caffeine last summer. Got to tone it down a little bit. Not as much caffeine this summer because the bank account can't really handle another caffeine run.
like handle another French press carafe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we've taken that far enough. We
Yeah.
can probably jump off the train here.
No, but it feels good to be back at work with my coworkers,
Yeah,
and yeah, fall is my favorite time of year, so I'm looking forward to just the fall approaching.
very nice. Just because of the weather or just everything that it brings. And
Everything.
we've talked about this, like pumpkin spice stuff. Is that your thing?
Yeah.
Okay, we have talked about this.
Yeah. The weather. Yeah. We've talked about, yeah, the weather, um, the holidays. My birthday is also in the fall. So it's just a
Oh, okay.
great time.
I still have no idea when your birthday is. I always assume that your birthday is in the spring. I'm gonna be honest with you. So
That's great. Yes. It's in the fall and in the spring. I'll take
not
it.
anymore. I'm gonna try to remember that. Yeah, the fall is nice. The fall is nice. Like I said, I'm just spring and summer is my thing. I am very dark right now. I'm yeah, I'm very dark. A lot of time spent in the sun.
Get out on your slip and slide a lot, I see.
I told you on this podcast that was not a joke, and I've been out there a lot. Just a few bumps and bruises, nothing major. No one's gotten hurt. So yeah, it's been fun. But yeah, a lot of time out there, and the slip and slide's still intact, which is awesome. It's survived a couple of summers so far. So I'm sure it's not the last time that I've done it, but yeah, more this year than I have in the past, which has been fun. Really
That's awesome.
rolling the dice with my health.
Are you the only one that does that does slip and slide? Rachel does it a few times, yeah?
Yeah, Rachel will do it. My sister does it. Yeah, it becomes a whole family thing. My daughters do it, and my brothers do it. And then that's the problem when all three, or myself, my two brothers start doing it. Then it turns into like a frat, like dumb frat party. It's like, hey, what about this too? And like you're trying to throw footballs at each other and catch it while you're sliding. That's when people start getting hurt, and the girls are looking at us like, oh, this must be fun. We would like to try sometime. But it's like, well, hold on, wait, daddy needs to do one more thing. So just hold on. So we let them slip and slide, but that's usually what it turns into. They kind of lose interest and we still just keep going. So it's fun.
Nice. The adults take over. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Always careful of the kids, but we do take over at a certain point. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So we're very different summers, you and I, but it's been good. Yeah, it's been good. Always a bummer to see it, especially when the nights start getting darker quicker. That's always a bummer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it's like in the summer, it was like, oh, it got dark at 9. It's 8:15 right now, and it's dark.
Yeah, it
Or
sucks.
it's getting dark. Yeah.
I know. So, anyways, that's not my favorite part. But, anyways, that's not why we're here tonight. And I didn't tell you this, but we'll try not to keep you here forever because you and I, when we do solo episodes, tend to go a little bit longer. And if anybody's watching this, you clearly saw Deb's expression. She knows it too. She's kind of yes, she's like, yeah, 100%. It goes way longer than I would like to be here. So we won't try to keep everybody here too long. But Deb, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about some confidence. Confidence.
Hey,
Hey.
which
I was gonna start saying Demi Lovato lyrics, but I stopped mid thought in my head. I was like, just say the word.
yeah. Well, you could always sing if you want. That kind of used to be a running joke on our old podcast.
No, I know. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I'm like, I'm not gonna sing. No one
I don't
wants to.
know.
Nobody.
Nobody, yeah, nobody wanted to hear
I
it,
sing
but
in my car and in my shower, and then the occasional karaoke night when I've had too much beer. But that's like, other than that, it's like, no, I'm not. I can't in public. If I'm sober, I'm not singing. So,
you don't have the confidence to sing in public.
no, I do
Boom.
not. There,
Brought it
boom.
back.
Great segue. There you go. So you need to. I don't know why you asked me to introduce the topics.
I don't know either. I thought it'd be funny. I wasn't sure what you would say because this was actually my idea. So
She says,
yeah,
but
no, I thought, it's funny because I was thinking on this podcast, we haven't talked about this topic, but you and I have talked about this years ago on Character Combine. And we talked about how confidence affects athletes and coaches and in competition and all that. But we've never talked about it here. And I just feel like there's different things that over the last month or two that I've seen pop up or I've noticed on shows, whether it be, like The Bachelor that my wife is watching, or like that show America's Got Talent, or within sports and athletes. Confidence is just an interesting thing. And I also mentioned you, obviously, one of the things that we've talked about over the course of our years of podcasting is different dating situations that you've been in, and not specifically about you, but like just in general, how confidence can affect relationships, right? It can affect how we connect with people. It can affect how we connect with ourselves. It affects how we connect with the dreams and the goals that we're trying to pursue, right? And confidence is always a weird thing, because I think a lot of us want to uh, think that we're confident people, but I know for myself, I can't speak for you, but I know for myself, there's moments where you'll feel really confident and at the top of your game, and then the next day you wake up, it's like, I don't know where it all went, but it's like while I was sleeping, it just walked right out the door because it's not there anymore, and then you feel down, right? And I don't know if the confidence is necessarily left, but sometimes I feel like we're not quite connected the same way to that confidence, right? And so I just thought it was an interesting thing to talk about, and especially, like I said, we talked about it, how it affects athletes and coaches, but in this space on Connectable, I just thought there was an interesting bridge between connection and how we connect, and also the type of confidence that we have, and where our confidence comes from, and how we develop confidence and what makes us feel confident, all of those different things. So I don't know, I just thought it would be a fun topic. I think it's been a minute since we've had a specific topic like this,
Yeah.
so I thought, yeah, let's mix it up.
Yeah.
Let's mix it up. So that's kind of what I was thinking as far as this topic. So I don't know, when I first mentioned that idea to you, I mean, what did you think? You're like, this is stupid. I don't know why we're talking about this. Let's do another pet peeve episode. Or, I mean, what did you think about it?
You need to do another pet peeve episode, because that's always new things are always popping up, right? No, but with confidence, yeah, no, I think, and looking back, I don't know that we haven't covered confidence in terms of like a life setting, like
Yeah.
sports setting, like the coaching world and athlete world. No, I love it, because the first thing that popped in my mind was failure. So like
Yeah.
like just failing at a bunch of things, like I'm not, and in anything, work things, just even like social settings, and then of course for me, like the dating world, like just going, like for me at least, that's personally, like throughout the years, like that's how I've gained confidence. Like you fail at something, and then you kind of learn, it kind of humbles you a little bit, and then you kind of learn to fix it for yourself, or to do some tweaks here and there, and then you kind of just get comfortable with yourself, and then you're okay failing. So like then you can walk into things and being like, this is fine, because if I screw up, it's not like I haven't failed before. And so that kind of just, at least I think unknowingly that's the attitude I go into some things, and then so I don't seem nervous, but in the back of my mind I'm like, oh, I just kind of shrug my shoulders. I'm like, okay, if I
Yeah.
fail, it's fine, I'll just fix it. So but yeah, I think, failure, I think we've done an episode on failure, or maybe, I'm sure we've talked about it at, in some extent. We've done so many podcasts. We have to, at this point I have to like go back and look and be like, what topics have we talked about? But
I've done the same thing where I'm like, I hope we haven't done this before. Hopefully we haven't done something that was too similar, because you don't want to just, repeat the same thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we've talked about it in some sense before, in some way before failure.
Yeah, and people are afraid to fail, and which I get. We're human. Like, of course, we don't want to fail. Like,
Right.
that's sort of what we try to be as humans. We try to be successful, and we try to be the best, or at least I hope we try to be the best version of ourselves. But in doing so, you have to, like, you're gonna fail at things. But yeah, I guess I can speak more on just like the dating world in general, if you want to get into that. Like,
Yeah, what I just want, not to interrupt you, but I do want to kind of piggyback off of what you said, because that's something I mentioned the last time we talked about this topic on a different podcast. But there is a really interesting connection between failure and confidence, and also connection, because something I read or heard from Erwin McManus, one of my favorite authors, a little while ago, is he was talking about how a lot of times our confidence comes from the people that we're connected with and the people that we surround ourselves with. So if you're looking at this in a sense of a team, if you have a bunch of teammates that have your back, that support you, that are there with you through thick and thin, if you're playing basketball and you get a chance to shoot the ball at the end of a game, you're going to be more free to shoot that ball, because you're not concerned about, okay, what if my teammates hate me? What if they get mad at me? What if I make the wrong decision? You're just going to be in that moment free because you know that no matter what happens, win or lose, your teammates have your back. And I think the same thing here with anything in life. Like you said, if you have good people around you who you know are going to support you, who are going to encourage you, challenge you when you need to be challenged, and motivate you when you need to be motivated, even if you fail, you don't think, oh man, if I failed, and there's going to be all these people lined up waiting to say, I told you so. Why'd you do that? What were you thinking? That was stupid. You don't have to worry about that. So it gives you more confidence to try things or attempt things and go after those big dreams and those big goals, because you know the people you're connected with, your special circle of friends and family that love you and care for you, are going to be there no matter what. And having that kind of support gives us a really cool level of confidence that I don't know if you can really achieve if you don't have that. So, it is interesting, and not that, not that you can't still have confidence even if you don't have that super tight circle, but like there something special does come from that circle, that like it does increase your confidence when you are a part of something like that. You know what I mean? Because like, can you imagine if you were always in a circle of people that were, like I said, you wanted to try the massage thing, right? And say it just wasn't working out. You spent all this money, and just say you weren't very good at it and you weren't very interested, and it just kind of fell flat and you never did it again. If you had like 5 people that every time you saw them, it's like, hey, remember I told you you shouldn't have done that because I told you it wasn't going to work out. It was going to be a waste of money. Like that would suck. And maybe it would give you that fire to keep going and say like, well, screw you. I'm going to find something else and do it better. Or I'm sure a lot of people are like, man, do I really want to attempt something new? Because I'm just going to have 5 people waiting to see me fail. And so, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think there is an interesting connection between the two things. And it's a bummer. Like if you don't have those great connections with people, like I know for yourself, you have a ton of people around you that are really supportive of the things you do. And so I imagine that when you said, hey, I'm going to do this massage school thing, I'm guessing that very few, if any, people were opposed to you giving that a shot.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's true. Everyone was just very like, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. Or they were just curious, like, tell me more. Like, why do you want to do it? But like, no, nothing negative. Nothing.
No, it could have been selfish too, because they're like, yeah, we have a friend in
Yeah.
our circle that does massage school. Yeah,
Oh,
get her in
sure.
there. Yeah,
I'm sure that's part of it too. They're like, oh, good, cool.
smart move by
Yeah.
them. Yeah,
Well, yeah. Right now, a lot of my clientele are, all of my clientele are all my friends. So they are
that works out for everybody.
betting for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just to speak to, that and failing and like, afraid to fail. Unfortunately, we learn at a young age, I'm around them every day, that kids are mean when you're young.
Yeah.
And just the whole concept of just a basic, you fall down and someone points at you and laughs, like type, immaturity, like, and that's just what happens is when you're little and you get older, and then and that's just part of life. I remember so many mean things kids like that I witnessed, and kids said to me and I said back to kids growing up. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember some of that stuff and I'm like, God, I think I was like borderline a bully sometimes. Like, wow, I do. Like, I don't know why some of this stuff sticks with me. I'm like, that was so mean. Or I remember, like I got in a fight with a boy in the 3rd grade, like a physical, also, like, I just remember these things. And I remember just girls being mean and, when we were younger, and just buddy, what are you gonna say? I can see your face. I got in a fight with a boy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you won.
I don't remember. I think we were not able to continue it because an adult came by.
I was like, you
I
can't
don't
remember. That's all you got a concussion. That's not
remember
great.
swinging and kicking, swinging and kicking. Just was so pissed. It's so yeah. So anyway, but like kids are
These are
mean
my
and
favorite. I just want to say this. I'm sorry. These are my favorite stories you bring up. It's like, by the way, I punched a window. Oh, by the way, I got into a fight. Like these are the best. Because it's not like, oh my gosh, really? I can't imagine Deb getting into a fight. It's always like, yeah, it makes sense. I
I'm a nice person, but
no,
and
I'm not. You're a nice person, but I also feel like there's some darkness.
it's pent up that's for sure. So
It's all hiding up in your hair right now.
exactly there it
Yeah, it's
is.
just it's just waiting to strike. It's like a snake up there. like coiled up.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
No way crosser. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue. You
oh,
fought a
it's
boy, beat him up.
beat 'em up. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just and that's just kind of like the pecking order, like in terms of like when you're little and you need to you go through those hard times, but you also you learn coping strategies and coping mechanisms. And we don't need to get into the entire psychology of all of that at the adolescent age, but it is important. It is important, your support system. I'm not saying that if you have no support system, you're not able to like rise up, because I've
Mm-hmm.
heard many stories in that instance
Mm-hmm.
where people have had like abusive family, abusive friend, everything not good around them. And then they just fought their way out and figured it out and gained their own confidence. But it does help, obviously, to have supportive people in your life as you get older to kind of validate, until you can learn to validate yourself. But even then, adults, we still need some type of validation to some degree. It's hard. Yeah. But
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, and I agree. I think there's a balance between, and you would know better because you're the teacher, but I think there's definitely a balance there. Um, and I think if you swing one way or too far one way or the other, it becomes a problem, right? If you're in a setting where you're so insulated from any of the criticism, any of the critique, any of the um, difficult times, right? That becomes a problem because then you don't develop that toughness that comes from it, and that's a problem. So there's over support, right, where you're insulated, and then there's the other side where you have nothing.
yeah,
And like you said, there's some awesome stories of people who've made it through, but there's also they went through a lot of things to get to that point, and a lot of it, especially at the beginning and when they're kids, not their fault. It's just stuff that they kind of had to survive through, and so there is definitely a balance between those two things. You know what I mean? And that's why I look back, like I feel like my you know especially as a parent now, and looking back to stuff that my parents did for me growing up, always grateful because I feel like I had a decent amount of confidence growing up. So anytime that kids said mean things, or anytime there were issues, or I never really dealt with bullying, but there's one or two times where a kid kind of picks on you, um, but it doesn't last very long because I had enough confidence to say, like, we're not going to do this. I was never the biggest kid. It was like we were scrapping out there, but there was enough there where it's like, okay, this is pointless. This is not worth my time, right? So they pick on someone else. You know what I mean? So always grateful for that, because I feel like, to your point, having that and seeing some of those things and just kind of dealing with those things has a huge benefit, down the road for sure.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's yeah, confidence is a what's the term? Fake it till you make it. Sometimes
Sure.
it's
Sure.
and that comes in handy too. It's like, all right, my friend Jen, she's like, I just walk into a room like I own the place, and it just works out.
See,
So,
there you go. But see, that takes confidence, just being able to walk in there, because some people wouldn't even walk into the room, right?
yeah, yeah, that's true.
And they're like,
There's
nah, I'm good. I'm not going to walk in this room. So the fact that you had the confidence to even walk in the room and then kind of roll
yeah,
the dice and say, hey, whatever happens, happens, is,
yeah,
it's cool. And but that's challenging for some people too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's,
Well, yeah, yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's, that's where it's weird sometimes when you hear people talk about these types of things. And I've shared this a couple of times over the last few episodes when we've had some of the entrepreneurs on, and they talk about like gatekeepers, right? They're like, well, you just go out and figure it out. It's like, well, that's not, you've done it. So like, maybe give me a couple of tips on how you can do this. I think sometimes that's the same thing with the confidence stuff too, right? People are like, well, you just have to, you know, uh, do this or do that. It's like, well, I think for some people, it's a lot more challenging, right? It's not as easy to get there for some people, especially if you're an introverted person, you know, taking that step out and being more extroverted and being more confident in that area is a lot more difficult than, someone who's just naturally extroverted. But when you hear someone that's naturally extroverted say, like, well, you just do this. Well, it's just not that easy. Like, that would be nice if that was the case and everybody would do it, right? But and that's where it's interesting too. It's like when you have someone that's very confident and they're talking to someone who's not as confident, sometimes I think there's a lack of understanding of like, I don't know if you truly understand how difficult this might be for some people that are dealing with it. You know what I mean? There's a certain level of empathy I think you need to have when you're having those conversations with people. And it's like, yeah, it'd be great if anybody could just go and say, "Hey, screw it, I'm just going to go for it." But that's like, it's harder than that for some people, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I'm teaching and like, I see it all the time in these high school kids. I could totally tell which ones are confident, overconfident, which ones are like completely introverted, like they want to cry if I speak to them. Like they're
Yeah,
like eye contact with me, like very just like super, timid. So, and then we're playing sports and they're doing physical stuff in front of people. So I try to be mindful. And of course, I'm never out to obviously like call a kid out and embarrass them. But the kids that I do call out, I call out the confident ones because I know that they'll be okay, like helping me demonstrate and do all the things. And the kids who aren't so confident, I just kind of put them in small group settings first and so that they gain their skills, confidence first and then put
right.
them in. So like, it's hard because I only have so much time in a period, but yeah, everyone's so different with with just how they carry that confidence or lack thereof.
But
Yeah.
I think that's cool though that you obviously as a teacher you understand that, you can see that, and you could be the teacher that's like, I don't care, the shy introverted kid who's about to cry because I say their name, get up there and demonstrate how to hit a volleyball. It's like, what? But it's like, right, that'd be terrible. Yeah, it's like, well, what's the point of this? And really, you are increasing the chance of them having more confidence and developing the confidence by doing it the way you're doing it. It's like, hey, you know what? I know this is going to terrify them if I put them up there. It's not going to have any benefit. So, what's going to give them the most confidence in this moment? It's going to be off to the side where they're not the center of attention. And then they get to develop, like you said, develop the skill. And hopefully, from that smaller setting where they're developing that skill, confidence increases, right? Because you're putting them in a place where they have the opportunity to thrive rather than say, hey, jump in the deep end, even though I know you can't swim, figure it out. It's like, well, no, they're probably just going to drown and they're not going to have any confidence. It's going to do the exact opposite. So, no, I think that's smart that you do that. And I think it's helping everybody have an opportunity to increase their confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. It's just, yeah, it's little baby steps.
Yeah,
And even like as for us as adults, it's just the little baby steps that help us, if we're not so confident and just, but you do have to have the confidence to at least take a step,
sure.
like, and however big or small you want that to be, because the more, even if you fall down and like, you're going to, get back up and take one more step, you just got to chip away at it. My dad used to say that phrase all the time.
Yeah.
Keep chipping away at your homework. How's your homework coming? Coming, like keep chipping away. So you just have to like a little bit at a time. You don't have to do everything in, one shot. Like that's too much. Like that's going to be, that's going to deter you probably, from whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. But, yeah, I think that's how confidence can be made. I don't know. Obviously, anyone listening, Josh and I always say a disclaimer. We're not experts in anything. We are not psychologists. We are not therapists or licensed anything to like give professional advice. But that's just from my life experience, my personal experience. That's how I think you just, start to gain confidence, just one little thing at a time.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll double down on that. We've said that from the very beginning, from the very first time when we turned on a microphone and spoken to them. Uh,
Yeah.
that's never been our goal. This is not a podcast where you come to learn anything. I hope not, because if you do, your teachers have failed you. Like, don't come to this podcast trying to learn anything. That's going to be a problem. But our whole goal, again, the tagline for the show is creating connections through relatable conversation, and hopefully just having the conversation. That's our whole goal. Is like, we have a conversation. Hopefully you find something interesting about it. And hopefully it sparks some different thoughts or ideas that you may not have had, or maybe it's just all stuff, and you just enjoyed hearing us talk like a couple of dum-dums. I don't know. Wherever, whatever your reason is for being here, we thank you. Even though the YouTube people think that anytime I post a short, we're pretending like we're the biggest experts on everything because they always have something to say. I don't know why. YouTube people can just shut up. You know what I mean? They just be quiet, but they don't. They don't. So and we haven't given in yet. We don't give in to the nonsense. So I'm very confident in that. I will not do it. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting, and I do, yeah, like what you said too, as far as the baby steps, right? Because going back to what I was saying, even if you're having this conversation with someone and you're trying to help them develop their confidence, they may, uh, it may be more difficult for them to do it, but no matter how you cut it, at some point you will have to take this step. You will have to take a step, whether it's a small step or a big step. You have to take a step. Otherwise, you're not going to be moving forward at all. You're just going to be stuck in that one same spot. So, although some people may not understand how difficult those things can be for someone, it doesn't change the fact that that person still will at some point have to move forward and still have to make a step or have to make a move. And so, yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Just because someone has a difficult time with it doesn't give them a pass on having to do that if their hope is to gain more confidence. So um, yeah, it's an interesting thing. So what do you like when you feel, what kind of things do you do that uh what kind of things do you do where you would feel like, hey, I feel more confident in myself right now? Like, are there certain things that you do? Like, for example, I do feel like when I've worked out and I worked out consistently, and I mean, you would know this, right? Because I feel like you've mentioned this before, but you just feel better because you feel healthier, you feel stronger, you feel like you're in better shape. There is an interesting thing, like you just walk with a little bit more confidence, knowing that like you may not have even like lost any weight or lost any fat or gained any muscle. You may not have had any transformation, but just the act of working out, right, makes you feel better, and I feel like you walk a little bit with a little bit more confidence. But things like that. And I would say even on this podcast, like doing this podcast, there's nights where I'm like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird day, not feeling super confident. And then you hop on here doing something that I love,
Mhm.
and you walk out of it thinking, oh, I don't know if that was a great conversation, but I feel more confident in like what I do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's just a couple of things for me, not podcasting specifically, but like when you're doing something that you love,
Yeah.
um, it gives more confidence, I think. But what kind of things do you do where you feel like you gain the confidence?
Yeah. Well, yeah, working out is definitely one of them. I love the way just exercise makes you feel in general, no matter what your goal is, just, if it's weight loss or you're training for something like I have to say I haven't worked out in like a week, so I'm itching to run, but it's been too hot out. So, so I'm like,
Well, I did a workout the other day. I thought I was going to die. I'll tell you about it later.
yeah, tell me. Yeah. So yeah, working out or like at least as best I can. But what gives me confidence in other things is just doing them like over like repetitions over and over and over again. I mean, that's the same as working out, right? The more
Sure.
you confident you are and the more and the better I feel at least. But repetitions, like this is my 10th year teaching. I feel very confident in in my teaching game. I'm not like, oh, I don't need to learn anymore and I'm the best or anything. I'm still every teacher is always learning because there's always a new generation popping up doing some weird shit, saying some weird shit, like just
Sure.
there's always in terms of like, yeah. So yeah, I just look back to my student teaching years and I remember feeling a little overwhelmed, but like I'm an athlete, so I'm like, it's fine. Let me just, plow right through this. It's okay. Like, so a little overwhelmed though still because it's a lot. Teaching's a lot. And so but I remember my master teachers saying like it's okay, in 10 years it'll be like riding a bike, or they'll say, soon it's fine. You just
Sure.
keep here, you get a little more comfortable. And it's true. And so, it's taken a long time, but like every year though, not just like boom, all of a sudden today I feel confident and I didn't the last 10 years, but like every year it's a little bit better. Even every day, like when I get to know my kids and I just kind of like we get into a routine, it's like I get a little more confident in like what I'm doing with them and getting to know them. My worst fear with teaching is that I don't understand my kids and like I don't understand like how to talk to them, you know what I'm saying, or how to
Hmm.
talk to them, or like how to teach them or instruct them. So but anyway, so sometimes it takes me a second because every year it's like a new set of kids. I'm like, oh my God. But every day that goes by within that school year, I feel more confident because I'm learning about them figuring out like who they are and what they like. And so yeah, just repetitions make me feel confident. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other specific examples, but just doing things over and over again and just
Sure.
get used to like getting into a routine and then like taking it a step further, like that gives me confidence.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, where do you feel like there's moments or certain times when you're more susceptible to not feeling confident?
Um, yeah, I mean, we're human, right? So
Hmm?
it's I mean, it could be as easy as one day I'm just like something's wrong, I don't know what's wrong, something's wrong. And that's not often.
Yeah, those are the worst days, though, aren't they? When there's no specific reason for it, just like those blah days. I'm like, dang, just something
Well,
feels off, and I can't quite shake it. I
yeah.
hate that.
Well, and I even there's times, not very many, but there's times where I just even walk into work and I walk into my office and a couple of my coworkers, like just upon like talking with me for like the first few minutes of the morning, they're like, "Are you okay?" They're like, "Are you cranky?" They just call me out. And I'm
Yeah,
like, "I think so, but I don't know why." And no one
yeah,
did me. I don't know why. So if I'm being
yeah,
sorry, just give me a second. I have no idea. And
yeah.
so yeah, and there's legit no reason for it either. So, like, I don't lash out at anybody. Well, I can't say that. I think I have.
I was gonna say I'm surprised that you said that with so much confidence. I feel like on the same podcast you've also mentioned that you have,
Really,
but
an example just like popped into my head just now. I was like, well, let me just track on that.
I
Um,
appreciate how you said that with so much confidence. But
just kidding. I have lash out, but like, there are some days where I'm just like, I don't know, today's just not a good day. And then, but then I'm like, then someone told me once, well, maybe you spoke it into existence. Like, maybe just don't say that. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. I mean, that could also be true. But yeah, I mean, diving into something new, like massage school, like just right, like at first, I was like,
sure,
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't
yeah,
know.
sure, sure,
Yeah. I mean, I had a level of understanding because it's like the body and like I love kinesthetics and stuff like that. So it was exciting.
right,
Exciting, yes. Me confident, no. But I've been doing it for almost it's been almost a year now, and I've been doing lots of practicing, and so I'm getting way more confident. But I don't know. There are just some days where I feel like in my head I'm not prepared. Like if I'm not prepared for this, like mentally. And so if I'm mentally not prepared, then I'm not confident.
sure.
Or if it looks like I'm confident, it's because I've trained myself to fake it till you make it.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I
So
think. Well, and the massage school thing that makes sense though, because I think that I mean the new like being new to something is a completely different thing, right? Because if you were super confident going into that, it's like, well, you probably shouldn't be because I feel like you have no idea what you're really doing. So
yeah.
that's like a whole different thing. But um, yeah, I mean, like like I said, having those days where you're just off and you don't know why. Those are frustrating when those happen because and I've done the same thing where I'll talk to someone like, you know what, I'm in a bad mood today and I couldn't tell you why. You didn't do anything. This person, nobody did anything. I just for some reason I'm a little bit off. So I apologize ahead of time. I'm trying, not to be like this, but I'm a little bit off. So those days suck for sure. I think for me sometimes it's when uh like a bad situations start to snowball. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or it's like one thing after the other, where it's like everything keeps going wrong. And like, what is going on here today? Like, do I suck at all these things? Is that what's happening? Because none of these things have gone right, and I just can't quite get a grasp on anything. And I think there's times where you start getting in your head with that type of stuff we're like, it's just one of those days where I feel like anything I touch is going to fall apart or break or something bad is going to happen. And it makes you question certain decisions in those moments. So I feel like that's where, I'm a little bit more susceptible to that. You know what I mean? And then it just kind of, it trickles into other areas too, where it's like you just start doubting everything. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I shouldn't podcast, I'm a bad dad, all these different things. Like it starts to, snowball. And I think that's where that confidence can wane a little bit for me. I figure I know for some people, like if they don't get enough sleep, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like sleep's a big one where if they're in that space where they don't have enough sleep, you know, They're not just cranky and in a bad mood and sluggish, but they're also confidence is gone because they're just not their optimum self either. So it's interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of people, or if you haven't been working out for a long period of time, you know what I mean, and say it's been like a month and you haven't really done much. I feel like there's been moments too where I've been there. It's like, man, I just don't feel as good about myself. And then you start getting back into it, and all of a sudden it's amazing. It comes back up, and you're feeling better about yourself and about life. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing. It's not really like a cookie cutter answer. Like I think, you know,
No, yeah.
working out is probably great for most people, but there's probably a lot of other things that give people confidence that would not give me any confidence at all. You know what I mean? And so it's a very, very interesting thing.
Yeah, I think, and I just, as I think a lot of our confidence weighs on the fact that we are so afraid of what other people will think.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the failure thing and just people in general like influence us. So, but of course it's possible that you influence you and like you are you talk down on yourself and stuff that that's a whole nother factor. But yeah, just touching back on like your whole having supportive people around you is helpful because they just help validate you. And there's just something about like bringing your mood up when you have supportive people around you. But people can totally, other people, if you let them, can totally just like slam your confidence.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So in any situation, work, social, dating, just friends in general, like sometimes I question, am I a good friend? Like, am I really, am I doing this right? Doing this whole teaching thing? And then just like, am I like, is this why I'm single? Like what?
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just starts snowballing. It's like, how do I get out of this mess?
Yeah, exactly. I don't lose sleep over these thoughts, but like people can have an influence on like making, me second guess myself for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I wanted to mention too, because you brought up the support system again too. And hopefully I'm clear about this. I'm a big proponent of this. I think it's not a matter of just having people that are just going to support you and just be like, sometimes you need people that are going to challenge you.
Yeah.
And I think call out areas that need to be called out too. And so I think that's part of it too. So it's not just a matter of saying you need to surround yourself with people. It's not a bunch of yes people. It's not a bunch of people that are just going to say whatever you want, whatever you think, whatever you do is great. Sometimes you do, and I think for me at least, that helps with the confidence thing too, where it's different than what you were saying about you have people on one side who are going to be negative. It's a negative force. It's a negative influence. The things they say, the things they do it without your best in mind, right? The people that you keep in your tight circle, if they point something out in like a blind spot in your life, if they point out something that needs to be addressed, if they're calling you out for something, you know that they're doing it in love, and it's a very different thing. And sometimes those conversations happen, those almost give me more confidence because like, man, I picked the right person to be in my circle because that person was willing to say something that all these other people on the other side would never have the guts to say. In fact, they would never say it because they don't want to see me succeed. But this person over here had the balls to say something, and even though they knew it would be difficult to have that conversation. And for me, having a person like that in your circle is huge as far as giving confidence. So I just wanted to make sure that's clear too. It's not just a matter of having people that are supportive and whatever you say. Sometimes you need a couple people who are like, hey, I know what you want to hear, but this is what you need to hear. And so buckle up because we're going to have a real conversation right now. So I hope you're ready. So I think that's a huge part of having that confidence too, is a lot of different people in your circle who are willing to tell you different things at different times when you need to hear it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. As you were saying that, I'm like instantly thinking of basically all of my friends. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's so and so, that's so and so, that's so and so. They're supportive, but they will also respectfully like question, like, okay, so why, XYZ, why
Why are you
this?
doing a podcast still with him?
Why
Why did you start a second podcast with Josh? What were you thinking?
still podcasting on Tuesday nights?
Yeah.
Stop. My friends know at this, they don't even ask me to Tuesday nights. I'm not available.
You've mentioned that before. Yeah. That's just like I know on Thursday nights, you're not available.
Exactly. Thursday nights. Although now they're trying to do Monday and Thursday nights, and I'm like,
Ooh,
you guys are killing me because I massage people in the evenings. So I don't know, but it's yeah. So anyway, but it's good to have those people to just kind of like be real with you and ask you questions and ask you hard questions, or just kind of have a real conversation with you. Yeah, I definitely don't. I mean, I don't know about anybody else listening, but like, I don't want to be constantly pat on the back, like, oh yeah, that's great. Sometimes I'm like, no, tell me what you like. You're in my life. You're like, this is what I like. Sometimes I want feedback and constructive criticism. Of course, I at the end of the day, my friends always know, or like, Deb's going to do what Deb's going to do. So we can question her and ask her, but she's going to make her own decision. And that's okay too. And I think that's part of the confidence factor, is that even if you know, get people's feedback and advice and you appreciate it, and it's from people that you want to hear it from, and then, you know, there's unsolicited advice, you know, from people that you don't want to hear it from. But at the end of the day, you make your own decision on what you choose to do with
right.
whatever the situation is. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But having the confidence, I think just having the confidence to make a decision on your
Right.
own,
Right.
what you want to do, even, you know, even if it doesn't go with what your close circle is like, you know, wanting you to do. I don't know if that makes sense, but just
Yeah.
having the just practicing making a decision for yourself can become can I think can gain, you can help you gain confidence.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think on the flip side of that too, if you're speaking, because we've been talking about a lot about the individual and the circle they surround themselves with, if you're looking from the outside in, if you're part of the circle and you're someone that has a lot of confidence and you're willing to say the things that they may not want to hear, or that may not be the most well received conversations, but if you have enough confidence and you truly believe that it's coming from a good place and coming from your heart, you have the confidence to say it. And you also have the confidence to know that even if you say something to someone and you share some advice to a close friend, with a close friend, and they don't receive it, that that's not going to shake your confidence. You're not going to look at that like, well, I messed up because I didn't speak this well enough for them to really grasp what I was saying, because they're doing their own thing anyways. Sometimes you have to have the confidence and say, you know what, I knew I was supposed to say that. I knew that was something that I needed to share with them. Now the ball's in their court. If they want to run with it, great. And if they want to discard everything and just say, I'm not interested, that's fine too. But at the end of the day, I know I'm confident enough in myself, and I know for a fact that what I did was the right thing. You know what I mean? So like it really is a two-way street on both sides of a relationship. And so having confidence on both sides, again, going back to this idea of connection, I think it really does help people connect. Like if you have two people that have confidence in what they're saying and what they're doing, it's going to be a better friendship, better relationship. Where, you know, if you have one side that's not as confident, it's a little tougher. It is a little tougher because it's a little bit unequal. And then I think that's where sometimes the miscommunication or the hurt feelings can happen, because you're operating at two different levels, if that makes sense.
yeah.
You know, like if
Yeah.
I was to say something to you and I was to say, you know, if I was to share my thoughts about something in your life, right? And see, I wasn't nearly as confident, and I was like, I don't know if I should say this. I'm going to say it, and you don't take it well at all. Then it's like, okay, I'm never going to say anything to Deb again, because apparently, you know what I mean? It's like it's
Right.
not going to work that way, and then it's going to create a weird dynamic between you and I, because yeah, you know what I mean? There's just different levels in confidence there. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's interesting.
Yeah. It is. It's
I have
yeah.
nothing to share with you, by the way. I don't have anything to share about your life, but you know,
Thanks.
if I did, you know, I would feel more confident in saying it.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's been I'm trying to think of a most recent situation that I was not confident in. I don't know, just well, even like I don't know, yeah, just taking a break from school and then starting school back up. I'm always like, how do I do this again? Like
Yeah,
and
sure.
there's just, I mean, again, for me, repetitions is that's how I gain confidence. And just going back to the examples from earlier, I'm just thinking of more things. But yeah, I think that, and just in the dating world, like the more, fortunately and unfortunately, the more dates that I've gone on, like over years, like, you know, just like I just kind of learned to like okay, there, those are failures in and of itself every time, you
Yeah,
know?
sure, sure.
So, like, it's just, and I think that's why I'm, I have friends that are like terrified to, meet someone or like go on the dating apps, which I don't blame anyone for being terrified to go on the dating apps. It's kind of a
Sure,
mess, or it can be a mess. I do know people who have like gotten married dating off a dating app. So, I mean, there's
sure.
that too. I have friends who will go on a dating app and have like one not great experience and just be like go and just like go off and like not, go off the app and not want to meet anyone ever again. And so they'll be like, you do this to me. They'll be like, you do this all the time though. Like, how are you okay with it? And I'm like, I'm not necessarily okay with it, but like, I just do it. So I've failed at it so many times, gone on so many, I'm just used to it. And I don't, at this point, I don't care. It is what it is. And I'll just, you know, it's almost like it doesn't bother me anymore. So
Yeah,
like, there's my confidence in terms of like continuing going because I'll be okay no matter what. So it's just going through the steps of like of it.
yeah. Um, where do I go with this? I have a question for you. I'm trying to decide if I want to. We're going later than I expected, so I apologize. I thought we could curve this thing a little bit, but I should have known, especially with this topic. I think this was gonna go longer. Um, okay, so I'm gonna ask. I'll screw it. I'm gonna ask this question. So, because I feel like these questions could be like a whole different conversation. But do you feel like, because you have we've talked about this before. I was dating my now wife and got married before the dating app thing. So it's not something that I have any experience with. Um, but it's interesting because I do hear a lot of people like yourself and other people talk about how the dating app thing is a mess, right? A lot of times. Do you feel like just our culture in general would have been better if those things did not ever exist?
Oh, yeah, same thing with social media. I feel like
Yeah.
social media is, I feel like, yeah, okay, yeah. So
It's
let me,
kind of a big question. That's why I was a little,
no,
little
it's fine.
hesitant to ask it right now because I'm like, we're already up against the time.
No, it's fine. Well, here, I'll just quickly say it. And I don't know if I read this somewhere or someone explained it to me like this. I can't remember, or I don't know. I don't think I thought of this on my own. This is what I'm about to say. It's so like readily available, just like on your phone. And it's like a freaking menu. You're just like swipe, swipe, swipe. Oh, they're cool, or they look cute, or they look good looking. Yes. And then swipe, swipe. It's like so quick. And that's what it's for though. It's like if you don't have time to like go out and meet someone organically, which who the hell has time for that these days with the economy that we're living in, especially if you live in California. And like it's hard to meet either friends of friends, especially the older you get, right?
Sure,
Because all of your friends of friends of friends are all married
sure,
or in serious relation, like people, like no one's single. It's hard anyway. And so otherwise they would like, hook you up and then that's that. But it's hard. But like, yeah, it's so readily available and it's such like a quick um like speed dating, like
sure.
at your fingers, but it's like constant speed dating
Yeah.
day in, day out. And so I feel like there could be like too many choices, if that makes sense.
Well, and
Um,
do you think, sorry, not to cut you off, but do you feel like it's, if we kind of stay in this world of confidence,
yeah.
do you feel like everything you just said has, because from the outside looking in, it sounds like it's messing with people's confidence.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what I'm
that's
saying?
a good way to wrap it all together.
Let's
Now
go. I'm a
that
pro. I feel very confident in podcasting.
you opened this the right way, you're closing it the right. I don't know if we're closing this. So I'm gonna keep talking, but like that was no, that's perfect because yeah, it's like social media. It's like there's always something, like something better or someone, more buff or like someone cuter or something like that's a cooler profile. Like
Sure.
there's always something. So like it's almost like the grass is always greener type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I'm not knocking that concept. I think you should always strive to do better and be better. But if we're talking dating world specifically, that's rough. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't think you'll never settle down. If like it's just it's so hard. There's always like You can like in the dating app world in general, you can go on a date with someone, but then you can like keep swiping and be like, oh my gosh, that person looks better or whatever. And
Yeah.
some people, but it psychologically, it messes with you though.
Sure.
And I'm guilty of doing that. I'm not saying it's like, oh, it's done on me. So that's why I'm saying it. Like I'm guilty of having those feelings too. And so, yeah, it's, you know, again, like it's a good way to meet people quickly, but it's so um easy to like abuse it and just to kind of, it's just like a revolving door,
Sure.
constant.
Yeah.
And there's a safety factor too. Anyway, we can go into it, but like, yeah, your confidence. I'll like over the years, I think the first time I went on a dating app was like 5 years ago. Like, so for years I've been like on and off certain dating apps and websites, and I can't, like, so many times my confidence level like just like sunk to the floor because it's just like it
Sure.
is, yeah, it's a crazy experience. And then, so it's just, yeah, but again, repetitions. So now I'm like, look, you what you see is what you get. And I know that there's always a prettier girl and there's always a cooler girl and whatever, like I don't care. I'm just me. So if that's not good for you, then that's totally cool. Like, I just don't care anymore.
I'll post that clip. I like that. I'll post that clip on social and just see what people say. Um, no, and that's what I was going to say too. One of the things, I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but one of the things I've respected about you a lot over the years is I've heard you say multiple times through these different conversations and podcasts that, hey, I'm doing the dating app thing, but like I'm good. So if it works out, awesome. I hope it does. I hope something develops from this. If it doesn't, I'm okay, and I'm good. I'm confident in who I am and where my life is at, and so I've always respected that about you because going back to what you're saying about the grass is always greener thing, I agree. You should always be striving for more, right? But I think there's a difference between striving for more and then constantly like there's like if you have the fence, right? You have this grass is always greener analogy. You're on one side of the fence. You could be constantly looking over to the other side, hoping the grass is greener, or you could be building on your own property and developing something really special there on your own side to make that just as awesome as the side that has the really green grass. And so I think there's something to that where we can always strive. But I think striving doesn't mean that you're looking next to you. I think striving for something greater means that like, how do I make the most out of where I am right now in my life? And how do I do something really special, even though there could be something great on that side? I don't really care because I have a lot right here and I'm going to make the most of it. So um, I think it's a great mentality. And I think that's where it's, I think if we're honest, I don't think a lot of people have that mentality. And sometimes some people that have that say that they have that mentality. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they actually, if it's like kind of like you said, fake it till you make it. Sometimes when you fake it till you make it, you're trying to fake it with yourself, right? Until you make it. Like you're trying to fake yourself out enough where it's like, if I can just convince myself that I'm this confident for long enough, maybe I will actually become confident. And then it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know how that always works. Maybe it will work out, but I think at a certain point, it's gonna
Yeah.
fall apart. And so I think hopefully there's a lot of people that can appreciate where they're at in the moment and also strive for more. If it is the dating thing, because I can't even imagine how difficult and how difficult the confidence part of that would be, especially because like you said, there is I mean, it's like I mean, I played baseball, you played softball. There are games of failure, right? Take a lot of at bats. You're not going to get hit every time. And it's kind of the same thing, but it hurts a lot more. Me not getting a single up the middle hurts a lot less than not connecting with someone that you were hoping to connect with on a dating app. You know what I mean? Hurts a little bit more.
Well, a little more personal
A
and
little more
on.
personal, not getting a base hit versus not connecting with someone. But um, you know,
Yeah.
so yeah. Let me ask you this one thing, as I know we're trying to wrap this thing up. And again, this is a much bigger thing. I probably shouldn't ask this one right now, but I'm gonna go for it. It's something that you and I spoke about on Character Combine when it had to deal with athletes and competition is confidence versus cocky, right? Now, I'm interested in your perspective because the dating world, like I said, part of what kind of brought this to my attention was my wife was watching The Bachelor just recently. And I understand the game. These guys are trying to make it not just for, they're not trying to find love, they're trying to find a deal, right? A lot of these guys are trying to get their face out there so they can find a career, if we're honest. Like you can see that a lot. And so it's like when you're watching this, like how many of these dudes are actually confident in who they are? And how many of these guys are just actually just cocky guys? And there's an interesting balance. And I think where I come down for cocky versus confident is I always feel like someone who's cocky doesn't respect the people around them. They don't respect the competition. They don't respect anything in their world. It's just like, it's very selfish. It's very me focused, and I'm better than anybody, and you can't tell me anything. And I think confidence is where you have a certain level of humility and humbleness. You understand how good you are. You understand how talented you are. You understand how skilled you are in different areas. But you also understand that there's always more you can learn. You can always get better. And you don't, if we're talking about competition, you don't lose respect for your competition. You still respect your competition. You don't overlook your competition. But you also understand very clearly how talented and how good you are at what you do. And it's not wavering. You're
Yeah.
always going to have that same level of confidence and belief in your abilities without losing respect for the people around you, or without thinking that, hey, I'm untouchable. And I always feel like there's a difference between the two things. And I feel like in my mind, that's how I've always drawn the line between the two. And I feel like cocky at some point comes down to that you're going to have a very humbling experience at some point. Because I don't think you've experienced or you've really appreciated the humility that comes with it. And when you're confident, if you fail, you'll be prepared for it, and you'll know how to handle it better. So
Yeah.
that's where I've always come down on it. But that's usually when it comes to competition and athletes and competitors, right? Dating's a little bit different. And so I imagine there's been times where you step into a situation, it's like, this is a really confident dude. And other times it's like, this guy's kind of a jackass. Like he's incredibly cocky, and I can't wait to get out of here. So that's all I wanted to say. What are your thoughts on that before we get out of here? The
Yeah.
floor is yours,
No,
Deb.
you're spot on. There's
Well, there we
there's
go. Thank you for listening to the character. Oh, I dropped the ball. Now I'm gonna think about this. I said character combine.
I
Man,
know,
I'm
because
I'm
you're
not gonna
just
be
thinking
confident.
about
See, I
it.
was too cocky. That's what happens.
Happens. Yeah.
Go
Over,
ahead.
well, yeah, no, spot on. Yeah, there's been dates with just overconfident and cocky, and wondering if they're like trying to compensate for somewhere else in their life or whatever, or just trying too
Okay.
hard.
Sure.
So it's just like,
All right. Here we go.
so yeah, so I don't know. I just, yeah, definitely
Yeah.
to plenty of those. And
But
some that, and the opposite, some that aren't confident. And in my head, I'm like,
sure.
this should be more, is really actually a cool person and is, good looking. They should be more confident, but I'm not going to tell them that. But like, that's their own journey. I'm not going to say
You
that.
imagine your
Yeah.
confidence was up a little bit. This would be a better date.
Yeah. Right. No, but like, yeah, absolutely. Run into that. Yeah. I would run into that quite often. It's very entertaining. My friends were always, relied on me for fun stories about that. So lots of,
Well, yeah, I bet. I bet. But see, the cocky person thing is always weird to me, because I don't think how, like, especially for some of these people, like I don't think you realize how cartoonish you look, and like how dumb you look. Like I think you think you're projecting one thing, but the reality is, like I feel like everybody's making fun of you.
yeah, it's too, yeah, it's definitely can be too much.
It's too much.
Yeah. Well, and here's this, like I've been on dates to where they're so confident or cocky or whatever, word you want to use, that like they would not ask a single question about me. They would just talk about themselves and keep
Sure.
talking the whole time. And if there was a pause in the conversation, naturally I'm an interviewer. So then I just ask a question about them, and then there they go, keep talking about themselves. And eventually it'd be a game in my head, like, watch, ask this. I talk to myself, watch, ask, and time, and see how long it takes them to talk about this. And then pretty soon it was just like, I was watching TV. It's like, it's entertaining for me, thanks for the drink or the meal or whatever, and bye. It just, and so, yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah, but people are it's definitely not, you don't make a connection with someone that way at all. Even like friendship, any level, like it's hard to make a connection with someone who is cocky or way too overconfident, because there is no, like you said, like a humility aspect or and I don't know, I guess some people can blend and like be confident and cocky, but still like ask, or, seem like they're not selfish. I don't know, but I don't know. This is a whole nother
Maybe,
topic. I got my
yeah, maybe.
a whole nother thing.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe they can. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It's tough,
Yeah.
especially I think especially when that cockiness is because I mean you can make a case too for some of these people that are super cocky or that put on a certain facade, especially in that element where they are trying to get to know someone, or I mean really they're trying to impress someone, right? That gets awkward too because I mean that's you could almost make a case too that their confidence is in question as well, right? Because if you were truly confident, then you would probably be a little bit more relaxed. You wouldn't have this cocky facade and you would be more comfortable with who you truly are. But the fact that you have felt the need to, almost take like personality steroids to put something out there to impress, I think speaks a lot to the confidence level, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. That's what it's, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, I think overall, like you said, there's a lot of stuff, the social media, dating apps, all these different things. Because I mean, I've even done it for this podcast before, where we've been doing it for a while. We've never been shy about the fact that this is a very small podcast that does not get a ton of downloads. Some would make the case we shouldn't be doing this anymore, but it's gonna be tough to convince me of that. So here we go. Continue on 146 episodes later. But there are times when you see somebody else doing something at a higher level. Maybe they're at a similar level at us, but the quality of what they're doing is higher. Their budget is much higher, which ours is zero. Unless you guys want to start paying us for something, then we can make a deal. But you start looking at that stuff, and it's like, man, are we really doing this well? Are we really doing this good enough? And then there's moments where I wake up the next morning and it's like, no, we're pretty good. I know the numbers don't reflect it, and I know there's better people that are better podcasters than us for sure. But like, this is what we're supposed. At least for me, this is what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. And so, but that all stems back to some of the stuff I see on social media. You know what I mean? So it's very, very interesting how all those things affect us and how they affect us in all areas of life and the confidence. But yeah,
A lot of outside factors.
a ton. Yeah. So, like I said, a couple of these things we talked about could have bounced off into a completely different direction, but we are not going to do that because I can't be too much of a liar here because I said we were going to try to wrap this up fairly quickly, and we have not. So
we can keep going.
we can, yeah. Just so you know, we're and we've joked about this before, but I don't think at this point it's a joke anymore. This is gonna be episode 146. We're getting closer and closer to episode 200, and we may do a 2 or 3 hour podcast for episode 200.
Style.
Yep, it's gonna be much less informative, much less fun, but it's gonna be fun. You may not. I mean, that's a long time to hear us talk. Have you thought about that? Hearing you and I talk for that long, like it's different, but like you and I can talk for that long, but then we record it, we post it, and someone's going to listen to us for 2 to 3 hours. I don't know.
Nicole will, Christine will. And there's some people that I feel like would they've been following us.
You know what? Full circle. I appreciate your confidence in our show.
All will. I feel like Josh would. I have some names.
Okay.
I'm forgetting if I'm not saying your name. Sorry, but I feel like people would listen.
Brandon, our friend Brandon Stokely. Yeah, we got some people.
Yeah.
Jordan will listen.
Yep. Exactly. There you go.
Okay. So I don't think it's even 10 people, but that's all right. We'll roll with it. All right, Deb. Any other thing? Oh, any updates on Not Here to Judge?
Oh no. School started. I can't.
I thought I'd toss it out there.
Oh, I need to. But yeah. School started. I got my massage business on the side now, or almost. I'm almost done. So, but thanks for putting it back in my brain for a second.
Yeah, I'm telling you that, like I mentioned this a little while ago, that the idea of doing the massage podcast, not bad. Because you have the table where they put their face down in the hole.
Yeah.
So you put the mic down there with the camera shooting up, and all you see is the guest's face. And then you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then they'd be drooling and you just see people falling asleep.
Sure. Yeah. It's also probably going to confuse some people because I think some people might click thinking it was like some porn video. It's like, oh, what is this? This is how it starts, huh? And then they're going to be very disappointed.
Get flagged very quickly.
Yeah. All these thumbs down. Like, this is not what I thought I was getting. Like,
Yeah.
well, it was
Tracked
not
all the wrong clientele on that one.
probably. Well, maybe you probably get a lot of business though. Not the kind you want though. Yeah. Anyways. All right.
Just
We should.
sponsors in 2 days.
Yeah. Like, yeah. You
Like, John,
post,
we get sponsors. We just have to do.
just exploit your massage business.
Yeah.
Like we joked about before, it's like this Deb does not use massage oil, she uses lube. So if that doesn't intrigue somebody,
Yeah, that was Nicole.
yeah, thank you, Nicole. I still appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I don't care that I was wrong. It made me smile and laugh. So all right, we probably should have stopped this about 5 minutes ago. Anyways, here we go. Deb, where can they follow us?
You guys can follow us on Twitter at Connectable Pod, and then all other social media is at Connectable Podcast.
Yep. And then make sure you like and subscribe to our channel on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. And then if you could please give us a 5-star rating and review, I would definitely appreciate that. We've been stuck on 22 ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, which is incredibly sad. I will say that. So if we can boost that up a little bit, that would be great. If we get it to 30, let's at least make it a round number. That would be nice. And then I have seen we got a couple of ratings on Spotify, so that's pretty good. All 5 stars, which is nice. We haven't had that 1-star bandit strike. So yeah, let's just keep that going, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel because we post stuff there too. So
22 ratings. Is that how many people listen to our podcast?
I would hope so, but I don't think so. All right. On that sad note, we'll talk to you guys next week. See ya. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.